of a returner's magic should be special begins in a desolate place. A ragged man is standing in the ruins of a labyrinth, and as he walks, he tells about the situation of the world. Humanity had faced the challenge of the labyrinths situated at the end of hell. They were called labyrinths of shadows and had to be cleared by humans. The man is in one such labyrinth, and as he walks to his goal, he sees the giant dragon he has to defeat. The meteor-rank destruction dragon, Bromir Napolitan, was the final enemy that remained to be defeated in the Shadow Labyrinth. He was an embodiment of rage and destruction. The humans sent to clear the labyrinth had been fighting it for 10 years, and in that time, almost everyone that faced him died. But the ragged man is determined to put an end to his tyranny. He uses his magic circle to analyze the strength and weakness of the dragon and manages to seal his greatest weapon, Dragon Voice. His name is Desir Armin, and he is not the only one who will fight the dragon. He signals to his companions, and all of them launch a coordinated attack on the dragon. Together, they finally beat the dragon that had decimated their companions for a decade. There are only 6 survivors left out of the 150 million people who went into the labyrinth. They were the ones who defeated the dragon and take a moment to relax after all the years of fighting. There is Sword Saint Knight of Light Raphael, King of Esteban Donovan Asilan, Sage of Wisdom Jode Exorian, Magic Swordswoman Lady Aegist, and one more woman, who should be a healer in the group. They are wondering why the announcement was not made that they had cleared the labyrinth. They were supposed to be sent back to their homes after killing the dragon. But they decide to wait and start discussing their plans for the future. They plan to visit the families of their fallen comrades to comfort and honor them. Jode plans to research the labyrinth so a calamity like this would not happen again. But all of them agree that Desir played the biggest role in defeating the dragon. He was a Tier 3 magician, and he could analyze and seal the dragon voice, something that even a Tier 7 magician like Jode Exorian could not do. He says that he never had formal training because he was a commoner, and Jode tells him that he would have gotten all the support if he joined the Tower of Magic like him. But just as Desir is about to tell them his plans, an explosion comes from where the dragon's dead body lay. The warriors believe that they had killed it properly, but Jode has a theory. The dragon's heart was very similar to an engine or a mana circle. It accumulated mana and used it to power the dragon. But now, since the dragon was dead and his heart was still intact, all the stored mana would explode. No one had verified this theory, as no one had slain a dragon before. But now everyone was going to die. Desir looks at his hands as he thinks that his life is going to end. But after the bright light of the explosion vanishes, he finds that his hands look like he was a child. He is shocked on finding that he was still alive. But he looks at the glass pane next to him and finds that he really had become a teenager again. He is utterly shocked at finding it and cannot process what had just happened. The people around him look at him with amusement. But then a woman comes and introduces herself as Professor Bridget of Havrian Academy. She tells the people who have come to join the university that the top 600 students who passed the entrance exam would be admitted. The entrance exam would be to clear objectives in the shadow world. Desir already knows everything the professor will say. He remembered it all. His heart sinks as he realizes what is happening. He runs away from the crowd and finds a corner. He was back on the day he took the entrance exam for the Havrian Academy. The professor said that it was the year 3613, the year he joined the academy. But he was in the year 3626 just now. The explosion had sent him 13 years back in the past. He feels his heart breaking upon learning this. He wonders what was the meaning of all the pain and suffering he had faced in the Shadow Labyrinth. He begins to cry as he cannot bear it. It was real. Everything he remembered was real. But as he is busy in his thoughts, a second-year girl named Radoria von Dovich approaches him. She was his mentor for the test, and Desir remembered her well. She was a Tier 6 fire magician and was always a topper in the academy. She sees that he had been crying and assures him that they were not going into the real shadow world but into a simulation. It was just to test that if they were ready to enter the shadow world and survive. But she notices that he is just a commoner and would be put in the beta class and discriminated against even if he passed. Desir already knows it. Only the nobles in the alpha class were taught well and the commoners were neglected. She asks him what he knew about the shadow world, and he gives her an answer she was not expecting. He tells her that it was an extremely dangerous place that could be considered a parallel dimension. It opened up annually and had to be cleared. There were many worlds inside the shadow world that were based on the historical events of the world. The Magic Society had devised a method to classify the shadow worlds into 10 levels depending on the danger level. The real reason shadow worlds were so dangerous was because of the shadows that consumed more and more parts of the world. The places consumed by shadows became uninhabitable, and thus it was important to clear shadow worlds so that the damage would not spread. Radoria is stupefied upon listening to his answer. She tells him that the management of shadow worlds was under 2 rival factions, the Western Kingdoms and the Havrian Academy. But Desir knows everything and tells her about the method to complete mission objectives in the shadow world. They had to resolve the scenario in the shadow world. Since that scenario was a copy of the past, all they had to do was change the outcome to clear the mission. Precious artifacts could be found in the labyrinths, and that is why the two factions competed with each other. Raydoria is impressed with his knowledge and leads him to the building. But he is not surprised at seeing the interior of the school. Although she was a model student, Raydoria is a bubbly and childish girl sometimes. It is revealed when she comes face to face with Ulfhim, a water magician who could be said to be her rival. They both hated each other and start hurling insults as soon as they meet. Desir remembers that they were always like this, but Ulfhim shifts his attention to Desir and mocks him for being a commoner. He boasts of the candidate he is going to mentor, Aegis Kingscrown, an ice elemental magic swordswoman with vision magic. Raydoria's confidence nosedives when she learns that Aegis was also in the same group as Desir. He sees no chance for him to win. But Desir has already recognized her. She was a comrade in arms who had played a crucial role in defeating the dragon. She would do it in the future, but Desir is happy that he found her. Ulfhim gives Desir a piece of advice: he should not waste his time as he was not going to learn anything in the beta class, and he should just give up. But Desir moves along with his mentor to the location of the test. There are two more people in their group, Romantica Eru and Travery Tychus. Romantica asks Desir to stand still as he was checking out the gate to the simulated shadow world. He had not noticed her earlier, and when he sees her, he gets really happy and excited. He moves to hug her and asks if she was alright, but then he realizes immediately that he messed up. He had thought to greet her calmly, but on seeing her, he could not control his emotions. She was dear to him in his last life, but she died, leaving him devastated. He was so relieved upon seeing her that he forgot to act as he had thought. He promises himself that he would not let her die this time. He would not let anyone he loved suffer this time. But Romantica is grossed out by a commoner touching her. Her friend Travery tries to calm her down. Their test would be a racing competition in the plains of Ernest. Their goal was to cross the 8-kilometer finish line. Using magic was allowed, as was attacking other students. But the pain reception would be reduced, and it would be made sure that no one lost their life. Travery and Romantica are confident that one of them would win the race. Once they enter the simulated shadow world, Desir tries to talk with Aegis. Had she also returned to the past with her memories intact? But that does not seem to be the case, as she tells him that he is too weak for her to even think of attacking him. Desir realizes that she is not saying this to mock him, but just to tell him the truth. As soon as the race starts, Travery and Aegis take the lead, leaving the other two far behind. Desir is with Romantica and his actions annoy her. He cannot force himself to wipe off his smile, and Romantica is annoyed by it. But she decides to focus on winning the race and uses her wind magic. The professors of the academy are sitting in a conference room and watching the performance of the aspiring students. They are really impressed by the magic swordsman Aegis. But Professor Bridget seems to be interested in the commoner as well. Romantica's technique sweep the air pulls air currents towards her along with everything in their way. Travery does not notice it until it is too late. He was thinking that as a knight he had the advantage in this race. But just then, a strong gust of wind tries to blow him away. He anchors his sword to the ground and is confident that he can outlast her assault. But Aegis is using her skills and slashing the strong winds to open up a path. Travery is shocked that she could do that, but he believes that she would run out of stamina if that continued. But Romantica was not aiming at the people but at the trees. The trees get uprooted due to strong wind and knock Travery out. When the announcement is made, Romantica feels that it would be better if Aegis had also been defeated. Now, she wants to make Desir forfeit the game. She gives him the chance to give up, but he refuses with a smile. She gets furious that a commoner refused such a kind offer and decides to use her full strength on him. She uses a tier 2 magic wind strike and hopes that Desir would be blown away by it. But she is shocked when his voice comes from behind her and he explains to her how she used the technique. She is shocked on finding that her magic could not defeat a commoner who was not even a tier 1 magician. But Desir is going to explain everything to her. He tells her that her speed and strength was impressive, but to achieve that she did not pay enough attention to the control over her technique. Desir had used it to change the direction of her attack slightly and it could not touch him. Romantica is confused about hearing this. The commoner claimed that he had analyzed her magic, but that was not possible for just anyone. He needed to be a top-tier magician with knowledge about every type of magic for that. She gets angry at him and says that it was just luck that he survived the previous attack. She launches another attack at him to defeat him. She uses wind chains, but Desir takes this chance to show her weaknesses to her. He alters the air current slightly in some places, and when the attack hits those points, it is deflected and misses him. Romantica cannot believe it, but he says that she would become much stronger if she could learn to control her magic properly. She is frustrated, not at him, but at herself. She was far stronger than him, but he was able to win against her without strength. But Desir tells her that he has to defeat someone soon. Romantica shouts that he cannot attack her as he could not even use magic. She is on the verge of crying from embarrassment when Desir tells her that she was wrong. He had to make sure that she grew stronger so that the terrible future would not be repeated. He tells her that she made 3 mistakes. First, she thought that because his magic was weak, he could not use it. Second, she did not realize that he was not aiming at her. And third, the test was not to fight with each other but to win the race. He uses some basic tier 1 spells on himself that would allow him to glide over any surface and remove friction. She thinks that he failed to use the magic to remove friction grease on her, but he was not aiming to make her slip and fall. He ridicules her that she got it wrong. He tells her that he used that magic on his body so that he could move ahead at great speed. He asks her what would happen if an explosion pushed him forward at great speed and activates a fireball behind his back. She is worried that the explosion would kill him, but he assures her that people could not die in this simulated shadow world. He unleashes the explosion of the fireball and jets past her. She falls due to the wind of his motion and wonders how could someone be so reckless and crazy. Desir is moving at an unbelievable speed and Aegis notices him coming at her. She turns back to face him and challenges him to fight her. There is not too much distance between her and the finish line, but he is moving too fast and it would not be wise to leave her back open to be attacked. She thinks that he had defeated Romantica, which must mean he was really strong or skilled. So she uses her powerful magic ice arrows. But Desir has the correct way to deal with that. He uses his skill to analyze the magic circles and runes she used for her spell and starts taking control of her arrows. Magic circles appear in front of his eye and he can see the details of her magic. Aegis realizes it and wastes no time releasing her attack. He has already gained control of enough arrows to deflect the life-threatening ones, but he is still injured by her attack. She finds that he has stolen 4 magic arrows from her and she could not win against him by using more arrows. So she decides to combine the remaining ones into one giant arrow and launches a powerful attack. But Desir is prepared for this too. He uses the arrows he controls and uses them to explode on coming in contact with her attack. He uses the power of the explosion to move faster. She tries to stop him, but he is too fast and crosses the finish line. She is shocked but admits her defeat. The professors in the conference room are discussing the examination. They are pleased that no commoner was allowed to be in the alpha class for nobles. But the head of the academy declares that there is a student that managed to defeat the magic swordsman. His admission was still being considered. The professors do not believe it and Bridget has to show them the video of Desir winning against Aegis. The professors are shocked by the results. They praise the boy who could analyze and hack magic algorithms even though he was only a tier 1. His feats were impossible for even masters. They say that he should be admitted into the academy immediately. But as soon as they learn that Bridget had recommended him to be admitted to the alpha class, they change their opinions. They begin to argue that he was only a tier 1 magician and could not enter the alpha class. But Professor Bridget does not hesitate in saying that the real reason other professors rejected his admission was that he was not a noble. The head then decides to settle the matter with voting. Needless to say, the majority voted for Desir Armin, a commoner, to be put in the beta class. He is not surprised on finding out the result. He had won, but it made no difference to the nobles. But there is another thing he was expecting. Romantica is also in the same class as him. She is depressed about being sent to the beta class. She notices that the facilities were non-existent in the classroom and the teachers taught worthless things. She spends the first day crying about the fact. But what angers her even more is that she is in the same class as the man who defeated her. He had defeated a tier 3 magic swordsman and was still taking the worthless class seriously. She is annoyed that he is still smiling whenever he looks at her and she gives off a murderous aura whenever he wants to talk. But Desir also has some plans about what he wants to do. He knows that the nobles would never let commoners rise to their level, no matter how talented they were. There were many talented people in his class and their futures would be worthless because of this discrimination. And he had to save them from being killed by the dragon, so he would have to make them stronger. He decides to train the students in the beta class similarly to the people in the alpha class. But for that, he had only one way. But before that way is revealed, some people approach Romantica. A man named Donovan Hound comes to recruit her to his party. He is in the alpha class and wants to recruit Romantica, a noble who had been admitted to the beta class. He is arrogant and calls the other students of the class useless commoners. Desir returns to the class from the washroom and notices the commotion. He knew that the people from the alpha class were there for Romantica. He knew what happened, but he waits to let it happen again. Donovan offers Romantica to join the Blue Moon party that was headed by Alfhim. Many elites were a part of it, including Aegis King's Crown. It was the strongest party in the school and Romantica is thrilled on hearing the offer. That might be her ticket to get a place in the alpha class. But something is stopping her from accepting the deal at once. It becomes clear when Donovan tells her his true intentions. In exchange for letting her join the party, she would have to date him. He grabs Romantica's hand as Desir watches from afar. She is shocked upon listening to this. Donovan tells her that he fell in love with her the moment he saw her at the entrance exam. She tells him that she could not answer him right now. He laughs and says that he would wait for her response. But before leaving, he gifts her an ornamental knife. It was a custom from where he came from, and inside it was a golden necklace. She tries to tell him that it was too much, but he places it in her hand and leaves the class. Desir is watching all of this and he is not going to let it happen. He is determined to get her on his side and he is going to give her the shock of her life. But will she really listen to him and give up the chance to join an elite party? What is Desir going to do that will level the field between the alpha class and the beta class? The answers will be told in the next video.